everyone. Welcome to our webinar, Navigating AI and HR, Transforming Your Tech Stack with Confidence. My name is Ashley Litzenberger, Senior Director of Product Marketing, and I'm thrilled to have you here with us today. At Betterworks, we're committed to empowering HR leaders with the latest advances in technology, and we're so glad that you are here with us today to learn about AI in HR. And if you enjoy this webinar and want to learn more about Betterworks, we hope you'll come by our booth at one of the fall events that we'll be attending. We'll be at Gartner Reimagine London and Orlando, as well as HR Tech Las Vegas and Unleash World in Paris. If you are attending one of those events, please stop by and say hello. Today's session is designed to equip you with the information and questions you need to navigate the risks and potential of implementing AI in your HR tech stack. In this webinar, we'll cover essential topics that will enable you to discuss AI with vendors and with your IT and your information security colleagues with confidence. You'll learn about how to talk about AI with credibility, demystify some of the technical jargon that we're all hearing out in the world, and articulate the benefits and the challenges of bringing AI components into your HR software tech stack. We'll also dive into Betterworks AI strategy. You'll discover how we are leading the way when it comes to bringing responsible, human-centered AI tools into performance management to improve the experience for employees and to streamline your own HR processes. We're excited to introduce our latest generative AI capabilities and share what's next on our roadmap. And finally, we'll equip you with critical questions to ask potential AI vendors. You'll learn what to look for in terms of data privacy, ethical AI practices, integration capabilities, and ROI to ensure that you're using the right solutions for your organization. We've developed these questions based on the ones that Betterworks will ask our own AI vendors and the questions that customers are coming and asking us about our own software and our own products. This is a fantastic opportunity to stay ahead of the curve and to transform your HR tech stack with AI. Leading these conversations today are my colleagues Cheryl, Mayer, and Sam. Cheryl Johnson is Betterworks' Chief Product and Technology Officer. She has extensive experience leading product and engineering teams and is responsible for bringing Betterworks' AI vision to reality. Mayer Hanafi, Vice President of Engineering, has also played a pivotal role in shaping the Betterworks AI roadmap and talking to customers and IT teams about how AI appears in our platform. Both Cheryl and Mayer have joined a series of podcasts and webinars talking about AI solutions and AI solutions for human resources, and they're passionate about ensuring everyone who uses AI and generative AI understands the core tenets just as well as the folks who build it. Sam Schlunz is a solutions engineer here at Betterworks, and he's going to show you our AI tools in action. So before we dive into the first section, Generative AI Demystified, we'd like to ask the audience a few questions to understand how AI is showing up in your workplace. So this is that point where you're going to look over to the left of the little chat tab in that box and see the new red poll questions that are popping up. And at this point, I'd like to invite Cheryl to join me on stage as we go through the first poll question. All right. The first poll question is, how do you use your AI? Do you use AI tools at work? Are you using it on a daily basis or a weekly basis? Not often. Looks like we've got 80% of folks selecting both of those. Just a few, I'm not sure, but you never know. AI is showing up in Google searches now, so it really could be places you haven't thought of. And a few folks, actually a strong 18-20% are saying, no, I'm actually not using AI today. So take a moment, answer the poll if you haven't had a chance yet, and we will close out and move over to the next poll question. The next poll question, back in that same area, is do you have AI tools in your HR tech stack today? So is that something that you're using right now? Yes. Or do you have AI embedded in your HR products that you're using yourself or for your employees? Or are you not sure? All right, take a moment, answer that question, and let's take a look at those results. Yes, half of you already have AI tools in your tech stack. 36% are saying no, and actually 16% aren't really sure if the software they're using is starting to fold in AI with or without your knowledge. And I think that is really interesting. Cheryl, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely impressive number of you that are already using AI in your HR stack. That's fantastic. And maybe
Right.
those who aren't, will learn more today and get started with that.
All right. Well, Cheryl, take it away. I'm excited to learn from you.
Awesome. Thank you. So AI has been around longer than most of us, in fact. The term was first coined in 1956. Since then, AI has seen multiple waves of hype, followed by what are known as AI winters, where reality has not really lived up to the promise, resulting in a subsequent loss of enthusiasm. This is partly why folks were equal parts skeptical and equal parts awed when ChatGPT stormed onto the stage. So, will the reality of generative AI live up to the hype? My belief, yes, likely, but to what extent remains to be seen. We do know that the AI of now is very different than the AI of even a decade ago. Let's talk a little bit about AI versus generative AI. So, while the AI of the past could be described as a guide, leading you along an established path, the AI of today is more like a tour guide that can take you on a personalized, complex journey. There are a few reasons why we have seen this technological leap. So, first is the proliferation of accessible data. These extremely large data sets of things like annotated image data, digitized research, digitized books, even electronic health records have provided mountains of data with which to train AI. The second is advancements in neural networks. The big advancement was the creation of multi-level deep neural networks, which have allowed these models to scale in ways we haven't seen before. And the third is the invention of the GPU, the graphical processing unit. So originally developed for gaming to quickly generate complex game experiences in real time, GPUs allow for parallel processing of complex math. This parallelism, once only available on prohibitively expensive supercomputers, is now available on commodity chips manufactured by NVIDIA and others. So these chips are being used to run generative AI models. All of this has come together to really spur a technological revolution that we're in the midst of today. So it's real and backed by science. So Gen AI pillars. Why is generative AI an exciting leap? I'll quickly touch on each of these pillars. So the first is creativity. Generative AI can create new original content or data of all kinds, whereas regular AI typically analyzes and processes existing data. Generative AI is very flexible. It can be used for many different tasks due to the model's ability to learn and adapt from a wide range of inputs. So regular AI models are combined to a specific task they were built for, while large language models can translate text, create new content, predict health outcomes. You really can do a tremendous amount of things. The next is interactivity. So generative AI is much more engaging to interact with. A big reason ChatGPT captured the imagination of so many is how human it is in its responses. So you may recall interacting with the chatbots of the past. You can almost see the algorithm in action, and it could be quite stilted. Not so with Gen AI. It really feels like you're interacting with a human. And then finally, availability. Unlike proprietary models of the past, generative AI models are being made widely available via a simple API call. This is a big reason for the proliferation of innovation in this space. So all that's great, but there are limitations to Gen AI, one of which is highlighted on the screen. So it's important to know its limitations and plan accordingly. Why do these models sometimes hallucinate? Could be data limitations. So the training data might not cover all possible scenarios, leading to guesses based on available information. This is also why we might see bias in these models. For example, if they were trained on biased data. Also, pattern recognition. AI models identify patterns in data, but can sometimes misinterpret those patterns, generating plausible but incorrect information. There can also be an issue around complex or ambiguous queries, which can cause the AI to generate responses that seem coherent but aren't accurate, making that even a little bit more risky because it sounds so right, but maybe is wrong. So this is why we are always keeping the human in the loop anytime we are leveraging generative AI in our products, so there is ownership of the resulting information that is created by the end user. So now we're going to get into steering AI. So this is where a lot of that technical jargon Ashley mentioned comes into play. And it's important to understand what these words mean. And I'll use a metaphor to describe them. So in the industry, we talk about the need to steer or specialize a general purpose large language model to get it to respond in the way you want. We can use the metaphor of a car and driver to explain some of the key concepts. So training an AI model is like building a car. You start from the ground up, assembling the engine, the chassis, and other components. So this is akin to the AI architecture and algorithms. The process is intricate, requires a deep understanding of mechanics, and a tremendous amount of resources. So think of all the data and compute power you would need to train these complex algorithms. Now, once the car is built, fine-tuning the model is akin to customizing that car. So this could mean adjusting the suspension for a smoother ride, tuning the engine for better performance, or adding features for greater comfort. It's about making specific changes to an already functional vehicle to better suit preferences or conditions. So in the case of large language models, fine-tuning involves a much smaller training set of data. Consider fine-tuning for performance. Think of perhaps 1,000 examples of well-written goals as a fine-tuning data set. So a much more reasonable, data set to create. And finally, prompt engineering is like driving the car. So the way you drive, how you accelerate, steer, and navigate determines how well the car performs in different situations. So you're not changing the car itself, but you're using skillful techniques and knowledge of the vehicle to get the best performance out of it. So prompts in AI include the actual query or request to the model, but also supporting data and information. So again, using the goal setting example, we might include the requester's job title, their past goals, their boss's goals, or top company goals in the prompt to elicit the most relevant response from the model. So the builders of these large language models, so think OpenAI, Google, Meta, AWS, they train the models. As mentioned, training requires vast quantities of data and significant compute power, amongst other resources. The training allows the model creators to adjust the model weights, which then influence the behavior overall. Users of GenAI, like Betterworks, don't need to train a model. First off, it's prohibitively expensive to train a model at this time, but there is also no real additional value given the other techniques like fine-tuning, prompt engineering, et cetera. Meher will talk more about how we're approaching generative AI in our product. But before we get into that, let's do a little knowledge check on just what I just shared. So we're going to go ahead and share another poll. That's going to pop up for you. So take a minute and go ahead and answer this little knowledge check. We'll see how it goes. All right, do we have enough time in there to get some response? All right, here we go. So let's see. How did we do? Fantastic. You're doing great. Almost all of you got that right. So congratulations on that one. You're paying attention. That's fantastic. So now we have a second knowledge check. We're hoping that this just helps a little bit with retention, because I know I just shared a lot to you for sure. So the next question is, why is fine-tuning important in the context of generative AI? Fantastic. Look at that. You're doing great. So wonderful again. You're all paying very good attention. Fantastic. So I think that means we can go ahead and bring Meher up to the stage, and he will continue on with how we're using generative AI here at Betterworks. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. It's been really good to see the answers to the knowledge check. So before we go any further, I want to take a moment to kind of very quickly talk about the key pillars for our AI strategy, generative AI strategy. We have been working on this for quite some time now, and we're so excited to share it with you. But with everything that is happening with generative AI, with all the hype, but also the interest and the value and the impact we see, we have been trying to build a responsible AI that answers the questions for our customer needs. And the three pillars we have today I want to talk about. The first one is the human-centered approach. This is very important to our business. Betterworks as a product and as a software solution is all centered around the person. So all the features we have, from feedback to conversation to calibration, is all about people. So Betterworks generative AI solution in this case acts as your intelligent assistant. It's a co-pilot. It's not here to replace you or replace your valuable input. It more provides suggestions and facilitate tasks like goal settings and feedback writing. But the final decision and the creative control remain all firmly in your hands. Think of it as having a highly qualified consultant by your side, ready to offer guidance and support without ever imposing their own opinions. So that's how we have been trying to focus on making sure our generative AI addition and enhancement to our core features don't take the control away from the human. The second pillar, which I think is the most important one, is secure. So building generative AI feature, your data at the end of the day is our highest priority. Our generative AI features operate within the same robust system we have in place for a security framework that employs multiple layers of protection and ensure your information remains confidential and protected. But with the introduction of generative AI, we are also introducing a self-hosting approach to generative AI, meaning that all the AI interactions will never leave the boundaries of our secure system. This ensures that your information remains confidential and protected. When it comes to generative AI, in particular in this case, we recognize the need for additional safeguards because the way we interact with generative AI is way different from any other software or even traditional AI. So we want to make sure we are implementing even more layers of security, such as guardrails and specific protocols to ensure that generative AI features function responsibly and within the boundaries intended of the system. Finally, we are also committed to transparent data practices and explainability for the generative AI use cases, providing you as a user clear information about how and why the AI is rephrasing, summarizing, or generating any content for you. So you have a clear understanding of what is happening, you understand what data was used to generate that content. Finally, the third key pillar we use for our generative AI strategy is specialized. Betterworks doesn't rely on generic chatbot interactions or one-size-fits-all generative AI. Instead, we seamlessly integrate generative AI features as enhancement to our existing core functionalities. This targeted approach ensures that AI suggestion assistants are directly relevant to your workflow within Betterworks, providing a more natural and powerful user experience. As an example, Betterworks generative AI can analyze the employee's past performance data, current projects, company objectives, suggest specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bounded goals tailored for that specific role and aligned with the broader business strategies. This level of specialization makes the generative AI features not just helpful, but truly transformative for your performance management process. Now, I want to take another moment to talk about what this means for you, our customers. Well, definitely we have three parts here, three questions to answer. The first one is why we're doing this. We truly believe that our customers really want to know that their data is safe and secure. As we are introducing generative AI, everyone's concern was security and safety, and also bias introduction, hallucination. So all of that is our top priority. We're working on that and making sure that everything on these challenges is addressed. The other thing is that our customers want their users to have a great experience using our product. Through the next slides, we'll see some examples where we took the experience to the next level by just introducing generative AI features to enhance the core functionality that we had. Now, the what? We are building out a generative AI infrastructure that includes hosting a large language model within our environment on top of AWS. We will retain the ability to use public models like OpenAI, GPT, for non-sensitive use cases, or things that where ChatGPT is better performance than the other models. We have no plans to train models using customer data. This is the question that most people ask, most customers ask, is will ever be training based on the data, the interactions with the model? And the answer for that is no. And going back to fine-tuning that Cheryl highlighted earlier, we are planning to fine-tune our models in the future, but only with using synthesized data for Betterworks that Betterworks created to ensure relevant response to the use case. Now, the when is we're very close. Our plan is to achieve this by August 2024, and we're working with a premier AWS partner, and we're planning to deliver this in the next few weeks. Now we can go through some product demos, and Sam here will join me later after I go through the slides. Sam will do a live demo for you guys. So the first use case we have is a feedback and conversation assist. Think about this as, if you're familiar with the platform, at least giving feedback as a functionality, it's an experience where you usually have a text box where you type text as feedback you want to give to another employee. Within the context of the use case and the product feature here, the issues we have been seeing lack of precision as one of the use cases where the feedback might be vague and clear, leaving the recipients unsure of what exactly was provided as feedback, what need to change or improve. Sometimes it's also not clear at all. The feedback might be just simply poorly written or complex, making it difficult to understand and act upon. Talking about acting upon, actionability is one of the biggest issues. When you receive feedback, it's really important for you to be able to react to it and know exactly what to do with it. And then bias. There's a potential bias in every human interaction we have. So these are the issues we have seen with the basic feedback and conversation functionality. And by introducing generative AI, what we did is we took that same experience, that simple text box, and we enhanced this with generative AI. So what the AI will do here is help you improve the precision and clarity. It's going to be boosting the quality of the feedback. It will help you refine the feedback language, ensure it's clear, focused message, and the employee at the end of the day will gain a precise understanding or expectation of AI for improvements. The feedback itself will be more actionable or focused on being actionable. So at the receiver side, you would be able to know exactly what was the feedback meant to tell you about an area to improve. And then also reducing bias. This is something we worked hard on improving, making sure that while giving feedback, we address any potential bias of any sort. And then efficiency. Most of the time, writing the feedback or being part of a conversation might be time consuming and take a lot of your time. So being more efficient at dealing with this and having a way to kick off the process versus just having to write everything on your own. Another use case is the feedback summary assist. This is the feature on the other end. Now, once you have been able to use generative AI to send the feedback, one of the challenges we have seen is how time-consuming it is to go through all the feedback someone received. So going through all the past feedback commands, especially longer periods, over a year or more, can be incredibly time-consuming for both managers and employees. The information overload was one of the other issues. So there is a lot of information everywhere. Sometimes it's even unorganized. And then the hidden bias we have been talking about. It could be unconscious bias can creep into the feedback. The lack of clarity was one of these other issues, and the actionable insight gap. So what we did with introducing generative AI is we solved some of these challenges by effortlessly summarize all the feedback that someone received over a period of time. For the person who is interested, especially in this case, the managers who are interested in reviewing the feedback someone received in their org, it will be ways saves a lot of time to the person who is going through this process. It can also help recognizing patterns and identifying underlying trends and patterns in feedback. The other feature that we worked on is the goal assist. This one is a little bit more sophisticated use case of generative AI. What we used in the first two were mainly introducing generative AI rephrasing capabilities and also summarization capability. But for this one, we really leveraged the content, not just generation. The challenges with building and setting goals for individual and teams was that it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort to be able to set the right goals for the next period of time, quarter or year, for yourself, for your team, for your organization as a whole. It was a big time investment. There were a lot of unexploited potential, a lot of things that were missed through the goal setting period. And sometimes misalignments. People within the same team had different goals, sometimes even conflicting goals. And with the use of generative AI here, in this case, we have been able to use data-driven insights. So this is the example I said earlier. our generative AI is capable of reading through a lot of content from company top goals, from your team, your manager goals, from your past goals, and try to give you insights into the next period of time. What could you really achieve by setting the right goals? So creating an alignment powerhouse where you can come up with the right goals for yourself that will really fit really well within your team, within your manager, within your organism in general. And it will be able to unlock a lot of potential. And at the end, it will streamline the whole process and make it more efficient and reduces the time to action when it comes to setting goals. With that being said, we can go to the live demos with Sam. So I'll invite Sam to the stage.
Thanks, Mayor. Hi, everyone. As a member of our go-to-market team, I'm super excited to share our current AI that's readily available in the product. All right, so first I'm going to start with a very common use case, and that is when I, as a manager or even as the frontline employee, am getting together for my quarterly check-ins. So as you can see, Meher just introduced us to the concept of AI as a co-pilot. I want to make sure that we're all clear. It does require the user to provide responses in order for AI to improve it. And so, one of the questions that I get immediately is, hey, are we removing the human element of this process? And so, again, as Meher reflected, we're really looking at this as an augmentation of that human experience. And so, as you can see in this sample response, there's a lot of slang being used, some colloquialisms. And so whether it is fine-tuning the response that the manager is providing, whether it's going through and reading to make sure that the language is safe, that it is effective in its communication, the user here has a chance for AI to look over their shoulder and provide, again, that safer, more effective way to communicate their response. What I really love and what really gets customers excited is not only is it going to provide that recommendation, hey, Sam, here's a much better way to communicate your point. It's also going to guide me on that along the way. And so this why apply this suggestion has been incredibly popular because over time it is going to be coaching and guiding users on how to improve the feedback or the communication that they're providing. Outside of fine-tuning how somebody is communicating, there's been some really interesting and exciting use cases around accessibility. Oftentimes, I talk with organizations that are global. What that means is folks may be English second language as they're in the workplace. They may be most comfortable communicating written in another language. And so what we have here may be even an example of someone that just wants AI to make sure that the grammar that they're using is really up to snuff, that they have the confidence now to communicate in a written way that maybe prior they were really uncomfortable or not very confident in. So this will be available and is available currently for customers. This is on the manager side, which is the part that I'm playing right now, as well as on the employees side. And so when we think about some of the other processes throughout the year where AI can really help out, feedback is another place where, again, it's going to be looking over my shoulder as a user and providing me with a constructive, safe way to communicate my point. So not only, again, when I'm giving feedback to my peers in the organization, it's also going to provide that improved way to communicate, and then also that why this has been applied. So in all the communication, both in check-ins with my manager, as well as feedback that I'm giving or receiving, I'm able to leverage the AI assist feedback. Another place that can be really arduous, in particular for managers, and in particular when it comes to end-of-year processes, if somebody has upwards of 10 folks reporting to them, we all know the amount of time that it can take to put together a really stellar review at the end of the year. And so in addition to having AI improve the feedback that I'm giving in the organization, we also have AI to summarize the feedback for an individual. So in this case, as a manager, I have AI to actually summarize all the feedback that Damon has received across the organization in the previous year. Again, this will be available for both the manager, who may have upwards of 10 plus reports that they need to accomplish the end of year review. And this is also available for the individual contributor in a way that can help them get their review off the ground and enable them to understand and remember the best ways to present their contributions. The last piece that I'd like to take you through in the demo is our Goal AI Assist. And so oftentimes in my conversations, even in my current role on the go-to-market team, it can be very difficult quarter in and quarter out to come up with the goals that are really going to help me to develop and succeed in my role. And so Betterworks has provided the opportunity for AI to have access to my personal past goals, my manager's goals, the feedback that I've received throughout my tenure. All of this data that Betterworks has access to will all come together to provide some recommendations on goals for me that are personal to me as a user. As you can see, it's going to be presenting both business and developmental opportunities for me to track as a goal. And I even have an opportunity down here to further prompt or to further guide the goals that are being generated. For me, I just created my goals for the summer quarter here, being able to leverage AI to, again, intelligently look through all of the data that it has access about me and to recommend goals. It made that process a lot less painless or a lot less painful, and it increased the time that I could then get back to achieving those goals. So we're really excited about the AI that is available in product for customers. For much like all of the product releases here at Betterworks, of course, this will be available to be turned on and off based on each organization's appetite for AI and where they are on that adoption. I'm excited now to talk a little bit about some of the upcoming innovations that we have on our roadmap. So in addition to AI and the great product releases associated that we just looked at, as an organization, we're very excited to release a new talent profile. So this data, in addition to all of the data existing within Betterworks about me as an individual, will also combine all of the skills data that I as an individual are bringing to the table here at the organization. So as you can see in the example there, the skills are going to be mapped directly to the roles internally that I as a user may have the aptitude to develop into. The talent profiles or the skills themselves are going to be verified using AI. So in addition to the feedback, the goals, all of the data, again, within Betterworks for AI to leverage, we'll also be connecting to resumes as well as an individual's LinkedIn, all in an effort to gather as much data about skills on an individual as we can. So there will be several ways for us to verify those skills. That is, again, through AI. I, as an individual, can claim the skill, and then it can be verified by a third party or a manager. So we're very excited about being able to fill out the developmental side, as well as bringing clarity to where the gaps are for me as an individual as I'm looking at my next role internally. Building on the talent profiles, in particular, the skills that individuals across your org are displaying, we'll also be developing a succession planning module. So those skills that I, as an individual on my employee profile, develop are going to be mapped to roles internally in my organization. That means that as HR, I now have the ability to run succession planning, maybe beyond even just the first couple layers in my org or just those 3 to 5 high priority roles. Now I'm able to develop and understand the bench of players that I have across each of the roles in my organization. AI is going to come up with a fit score for me in order for me to maybe seek out those diamonds in the rough, folks that are a really good fit that maybe we were just blind to before. So all of this data, again, for an individual is going to allow them to understand where they are now, where they need to get to next in order to reach that next role. And AI is there to help them create the goals and the conversations and feedback that they need to really develop into their next role. So again, we are super excited between skills as well as succession planning. These are all slated to be released within the next 3 months.
So first of all, huge thank you to Sam, Cheryl, and Mayor, and also to Cheryl for calling out and helping finish up this conversation. I just was saying I'm really proud of the way that AI is being introduced into the Betterworks platform. The fact that it is so human-centered, allowing me as a manager to work more efficiently, get more actionable information, and then share feedback that is more valuable to my team and my direct reports. It's led to stronger conversations, and it's something that I just appreciate as an end user of the product very much. As we're moving into this next section, questions to ask AI vendors, we actually have 2 documents to share with you, and they're in the documents section of the tab over here. The first one is questions to ask AI vendors, which is a list of questions you can send to any vendor, not just an HR software vendor, about their product, and you can share that information back with your IT team and your information security team. Some of the things that we find is that when we share this information back, it can help get ahead of any questions those teams or teammates have questions or concerns around, and help them feel more confident in your software and even become an advocate of helping you adopt and implement these AI tools. The next document is also Betterworks answers to those questions. So if you're considering us and you want to know what we're doing in these spaces, click on that document and you can learn a little bit more. We've also had a couple of questions show up in the chat. Keep dropping those in if you have any. There's a couple that we're going to get to in the end in the Q&A from Cheryl, and then Mara is going to address a few of them today too. We have a few minutes, and so I'm going to call Mara up to the stage and ask him to just highlight some of the most interesting parts or some of the most impactful questions that is in this document. We have a little bit over 20 questions in there, so we won't go through every single one, just highlight a few of them.
Sure. Yeah, thank you, Ashley. I mean, the most important section of the document that I have seen a lot of questions coming from customers about are the training and the data. So I think the number one question that we have seen is a question about, is the employees' data used to train the AI models? And the answer is that I hope it was very clear, is no. We don't use any employees' data to train, fine-tune, or improve the quality of our generative AI models. We understand how important it is for data privacy, and we take very serious steps towards ensuring that your employees' data is used solely for the purpose of specific use cases with our solution, as you have seen on the demos. So that's the most popular question, I would say. The second one is, do we even fine-tune the model? Do we even improve and change the model behavior over time? And I think Cheryl highlighted this. It's a way to improve and kind of learn from the experiences and help us take the generative AI features to the next level still. So we currently don't fine-tune yet, but we're planning to. And to achieve that, we are planning to use sanitized data, which is, again, specifically created data out of nowhere, just to address and train the model to understand these new concepts or to be more efficient at specific tasks. Again, this data is created out of scratch, so it's not coming from any employee's data. And then another question also, when it comes to bias, I think it's a very popular question. Are there any steps taken to mitigate bias in the training data and the model outputs? Also, sometimes another question is related to preventing the model from generating any outputs that could be discriminatory or offensive. And the answer is yes. We leverage a lot of techniques, including prompt engineering, to guide our AI models towards generating unbiased outputs and safe outputs and outcomes. So we carefully craft these prompts, and we steer our model away from generating outputs that reflect biases. The other layer on top of that, not just prompt engineering, we also have safeguards and guardrails. These are systems that will check the input that the user is sending and what intent they have, and also the output that the model is generating. And at these two phases, it's also cutting anything that is biased or has any kind of concept of violence or offensive. There is another question. I'm not sure if Ashley, you want me to address that question that is on the chat about behavior science frameworks. Okay.
I think
I'll
that
take
would be
that question
great.
since it
Yeah,
was very
thank you.
relevant. Sure. So the question someone shared on the chat, it's what behavior science frameworks, principles, and techniques are you implementing to enhance trust and confidence for the user? So I hope through the webinar you have heard some of these principles already, and these are behavior science frameworks. You can find links to those sources. But the number one was transparency and explainability. So the principle is very clear. Users appreciate understanding how AI decisions are made. It's not a black box. It's not just, hey, get an input, give me the output. We really provide clear explanation of the data sources used to train the AI, and also how we use the AI, or what kind of data you use to generate the content you see. Another framework or another behavior science principle is focus on user control. Again, the principle is very clear. Users want to feel in control of their experience. So everything we do here keeps that human in the loop. And that's another principle too. So you feel as an end user, you are in control. The AI doesn't generate things and send it or apply it automatically. You still have full control and ownership of everything you do. The AI is just an assistant. Another concept is building on existing trust. We think Betterworks is a trustworthy business and company and product, and we have customers. And we're building on top of that existing trust to achieve what we think is the right thing when it comes to generative AI, or building responsible, trustworthy generative AI. And last thing is continuous learning and improvement. This principle is very clear. Our AI needs to keep improving and learning. So we will be doing more prompt engineering, we'll be doing fine-tuning, we'll be improving the system to, again, get that confidence and trust from our customers that we are on top of what we do.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I think these have been really wonderful responses. Cheryl, if you'd like to come up on stage as well, we have a couple of questions from the audience that I would like to see if we can help address. The first one is actually a really exciting one about the Betterworks product. Someone asked, when is the Betterworks LLM going to be available?
So we are preparing our generative AI architecture to launch in August, and we will begin rollout shortly thereafter. So really soon. We're just weeks away.
It's really exciting, especially for those companies whose IT and information security teams are worried about, third-party integrations and want to have a little bit of a safer, more closed environment. And so that's a really wonderful thing that you can bring over to your teams if they are, really considering how many different exposures that they want for their data. There was another question that came up, and I am just looking for it one more time. Nope, that was the last one that we just asked. I think it might be what behaviors. No, that was Martin Gutierrez. Cheryl, I think I checked in with you. Do you know what the question was?
Yeah, it's sure. I got it. It was the one that I was going to answer is most of the AI in HR right now focused on conversational AI. So definitely what we've seen, and I think it is a lot of as a result of sort of ChatGPT and its launch really kind of hitting us all and taking over the zeitgeist there for a while. You're seeing a lot of applications that look like conversational AI that are very similar to the ChatGPT experience. But as we all start to kind of adopt the technology, wrap our heads around what's available, what's possible, really start to ideate and innovate, you're going to start seeing other use cases. So just to highlight a couple examples of what we're building that will be coming, all leveraging our generative AI, are things like fit score. So not a conversational use case, but leveraging AI to find a successor fit as an example. The other is skills evidence. So again, not a conversational experience, but leveraging generative AI and all that data in your performance platform to find evidence for skills. We're really excited about that and even more in the future.
Excellent. We have a couple of more questions coming in. Keep them coming. Another one came in from Melody Davis around, are vendors building levels of AI permissions where some users can use more of the AI tools than others? And is this something, maybe we can answer more for Betterworks than for all the vendors in the space?
Yeah, I'm happy to take that, and Mayor could jump in if you'd like. But generally speaking, you're going to see continuous evolution of this technology, continuous innovation. So everyone's sort of launching their version ones of their generative AI products, but you'll continue to see things become more sophisticated as we go. So that's definitely our plan. We already mentioned that as an example, all of these features are going to be, you could either toggle them on or off. And then in the future, as we launch more capabilities, you would be able to do that for groups and particular sets of employees if you wanted to control the rollout of these AI features even more. So that's definitely something that I think we'll definitely do at Betterworks, but you will see more broadly as folks continue to evolve upon the version 1 of what they're delivering.
Excellent. Thank you. There's another question that came in. Will succession planning also allow for C-suite level succession planning, an area which is often off limits for HR for various reasons? And I'll start this, and then maybe Cheryl and Mayor can jump in. Your company is going to have your own processes for succession planning for C-suites, for senior leaders, for key players. And so there's going to be some element around what is your actual practice and your strategy for your organization. If your organization does want to do succession planning for the executive suite, I do believe that that's something that our product would be able to support. And I'll let Cheryl dive in a little bit more to just how flexible succession planning could be across the organization.
Yeah, we definitely intend on having a succession planning product that's very flexible to your process and very configurable. And that will, again, evolve over the coming months as we continue to build upon version 1 that we're going to be launching very soon. So that is definitely in plan. And we are also building all of this new capabilities very closely with customers. So lots of direct customer feedback as we're designing, as we're building, to make sure that we're building something that's really going to be useful for the organizations that use Betterworks.
Great. And then finally, is there any last question that wants to come in? Anyone that wants to ask something else that hasn't come up yet? Something that Ollie noted is that any tools that can be used to convince the AI fearful would be really helpful. In addition to the ones that we've shared today, Cheryl, Mayor, do you have any advice for anyone who's not steeped in building and launching and training and working deeply with AI tools to help make it a little bit less scary and a little bit easier to enter and a little bit easier to feel confident around?
I'll tell one personal story that I think some might relate to. So I try to listen to a lot of content, whether it's podcasts or other things, sort of talking about generative AI in plain language. So not necessarily from a very deeply technical place, but might want to mute. But oh yeah, it's okay. but just from sort of like plain language. One of the sessions I engaged in was a generative AI information session for students. So I did this with my high school age daughter because I wanted her to understand the technology and appropriate uses of generative AI at school. So making sure that if she's using it appropriately and not in a way that is, going to cause issues for her. So I learned a tremendous amount just from being party to that as an example.
I really love that. Something that there might be some noise in the background. It sounds like there's some construction near my house. But one of the things that I found really helpful is going onto YouTube or going into Udacity and doing a couple of Intro to AI 101 videos. As someone who hasn't done a ton, I did something around prompt engineering a year and a half ago and ChatGPT first came out, and that was really helpful to understand. Does anyone else have any additional questions or any other thoughts? Meher, Cheryl, any last things you'd like to add?
I can add something about the AI free-for-all. I mean, honestly, AI existed for a long time, right? And it's almost in every piece of software out there on the internet, as we said earlier, like YouTube. YouTube uses a lot of AI to just get you suggestions, recommendation, all of these things. So generative AI is not different. What generative AI offers is a pre-trained models. Like we, as businesses and as companies, we don't have to train models based on specific needs. It's going to save, software companies a lot of time and leverage the same techniques. So I think the fear from AI comes more about the chat bots and the hallucinations when it comes to AI. And hopefully through this webinar, it was very clear that we use very strategic, very specialized generative AI enhancement, not like open-ended like conversations with AI that might lead to, again, bias and wrong information. And I think I fully understand where people are afraid of the interactions with AI in that context, but within the Betterworks context, it's definitely in a very limited scope and has very little control. As going back to the behavior science, principles, you are still in control. You are in the driver's seat, and the AI is just here to support you and help you as a co-pilot.
Great. And one last question, right as the construction begins again. Regarding skills profiles, would there be the possibility for manager qualification of skills?
That is actually part of the version 1 of the product is manager validation of skills. So good question. And yes, for sure.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining. Thank you for your grace through a couple of different noise challenges. We really enjoyed sharing all of these insights with you today. We enjoyed hearing your answers in the poll results and listening to your questions. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And we will now share our feedback survey. So before you X out of this, if you could take a quick look, answer those questions, and help us shape our content for future webinars. Thank you so much.
Thank you.